This is Little Mean Kathleen, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing the latest, hottest independent wrestlers every Wednesday on a YouTube and Castbox. I am your host, James J., with the leader of Squash Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
Man, it's a Snoop Dogg wine kind of night because usually most wines are like 8 proof. Snoop is like 14. He's trying to get people DUIs. So I'll try my best to accept this challenge.
The American Scooter Dust.
My hole.
I think you might be a week late on that.
He'll take it.
Well, my hole is weak.
And joining us, our very special guest. He don't have a last name. He's just Drew.
Yeah. It's me, your boy Drew, from the frozen tundra known as Canada. And no, I do not live in an igloo. And I'm not second cousin to Bret the Hitman Hart.
I think you
See,
might be
Jabe?
the only person not related to Bret Hart.
TJ, it's a Canadian from Canada.
He sure is.
Yes, I am. I have the passport to prove it.
Is there a question you might want to be asking him, Scooter?
About poutine?
Probably.
If you're asking if it's overrated or underrated, I'm going heavily overrated. It's heavily overrated.
We're enemies now.
Well, I'm from Toronto. Poutine is more of a Montreal, Quebec thing.
It's more Canadian.
Yes. So, Toronto and Montreal, we have a lot of heat towards each other. We don't really like each other.
Yeah. Especially
Toronto.
with Drake. Drake just Toronto Central. So he like
Yes.
That's the ultimate pull card. Like,
Yes, it is.
And
we got Drake, bitch.
And we're getting our paddles out to initiate Drew properly into the Wrestling with Entertainment family.
All right.
Just
don't.
As
go
a black
for
guy in
whole...
his Black History Month, I will give a pass. You brother.
All right.
Black on black crime is like usually like negated this month.
Yeah, exactly.
We were gonna go see a Broadway show. These were ticket paddles.
Oh hell, okay then.
Okay.
He seems like a Hamilton guy though, so that's all.
Wow. I'm close to Hamilton. I'm would say Mississauga. That's where I'm from. I'm from Mississauga.
Mississauga.
Yes.
Man.
And
Home of Santino Marella.
hey, that's a name you don't hear too often nowadays.
No.
And it is a great day for wrestling. Last week on our Wednesday show, we had Little Mean Kathleen on. And already that has been our highest viewed interview in a single day. So big props to Kathleen. I think that was a really fun interview to do. And, she might be on the show sooner rather than later again.
Mm-hmm.
Next up,
Let us hope so. Let's hope so. She was a pleasure. She's
the muscle of Squunchy Squad if you follow me on Twitter. We have coming up actually later today, Sean Phoenix. Part 1 of our 38 parts mini-series of Season 1. Season 2 next year.
Our Ken Burns style interview.
But in all seriousness, this is a fantastic interview. You do not want to miss part 1. And it's also on Sean's birthday, so happy birthday, Sean.
Yes.
And
one of his 2 birthdays.
yes. And he might be celebrating this birthday a little later on with some tag team gold. So check that out.
Mm.
And of course, this upcoming Wednesday, part 2 of that interview, same time, same place. And you get the 10 questions of doom, the 8 questions of doom. So, and I know that's what everybody wants to hear. So you get that on Wednesday. Coming up on March 3rd, we have Nevaeh Chantel. And that was a true pleasure. That was a great interview that we did. Now,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We say, we you'll hear us say that all of our interviews are great pleasures, and you might think that we're repeating ourselves or tooting our own horns, but no, we're being serious because there's literally no other way to describe these interviews because every time we sit down with a talent, it ends up being so much more than an interview. It's really a conversation between essentially wrestling fans at heart.
I couldn't have said it better
Also, why she prefers Remy Ma. So that she's Remy Ma stan. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's what you expect from Jersey.
And on getting my days mixed up here, we have on the 10th, Braden Lee. So looking forward to that one as well. Uh, as always, you could see who we have coming up, what we've done on our official Twitter page with Wrestling with E. Um, Now, usually we go into news, but there has been so much wrestling this week, we have to go right into our reviews. So we are wrestling with New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Beginning in Hiroshima. And night one was quite interesting, and I feel like we need to talk about this match just to kind of talk about it. Master Waddle lost to Bushi in 11 minutes and 8 seconds with the MX. Kaliko, Grandmaster Waddle, it seems like he hasn't gotten out of the starting gates since coming to New Japan, no?
No, but then again, like New Japan, you earn your stripes. I mean, look at Juice Robinson. Like usually anybody that comes in, they like unless they were there in the beginning and then left on their excursion and came back.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, the first time is always going to be hell. Hell, Naito's first time was hell, and he was actually winning matches. So
Mm-hmm.
it took him to like leave and join with a bunch of essays and come back a whole new dude. So I mean, it happens.
What about you,
You ever
Drew?
play?
Huh?
I was about to say, you ever play Fire Pro Wrestling World? It takes forever before you get into the actual New Japan part of the game. You gotta earn your way there. So if it's that hard in a video game, it's a million times tougher in real life.
Especially in Japan, because like shit, there's hierarchy there. Ain't no rocket pushes. Shit.
No, there isn't. There isn't a rocket push in New Japan. You have to earn your stripes, even if you're a young boy, a guy coming back from excursion, even an established star. Even if your stardom has gone down a little bit, even if you've gone to North America and come back, you still have to earn your stripes in New Japan. And I think with Grandmaster, he's there to fill a spot, but it's maybe a little difficult for him to get over. Plus, you're not you're touring more in Japan than you would here with all the COVID stuff, but I think give him some time. Same with Evil. When Evil left and came back, it was the same thing. And then he was the champion last year.
Well, that's what I wanted to kind of go with. Master Waddle, is this kind of, his first major loss was to Katamaru at Jinku Stadium. So is this kind of we were going to put you over, but now we're kind of having second thoughts type thing, or do you think that they're kind of trying to build him by giving him these losses, in a sense? Drew?
I think it's a I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I think the losses you can gain momentum with losses the same way you can lose momentum with wins, because sometimes you're too over with the crowd and they're trying to job you out to be more believable in the long run. So are you believable to go and challenge for the IWGP Intercontinental belt or the US belt when John Moxley decides to free that thing up? You know, so it's a bit of both. It's like we're trying to keep you in mind's eye and give you a mini push, but we're not going to put the rocket towards you and push you to the moon right as yet. So we have to give you some of these losses to make you look a little bit more believable to the crowd going forward.
No? And our next match, Tamatonga Tangaloa successfully defended the IWGP Tag Team Championships against Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi in 29 minutes and 8 seconds, but via disqualification. Kaliko, there has been an abundance of disqualification, no starts, no finish matches as of recently in New Japan. This is really different for them, right?
It's it it's different in a sense because Japan in itself is kind of, as a nation, is kind of get busy because the Olympics. You forget Olympics was supposed to be last year. It's this year, so I wouldn't be surprised with New Japan. Usually they take their shit very serious, so they want their champions looking like, yo, because like I always told you, Japan takes wrestling a whole lot more serious than we do. Like we take
Yes.
this shit as comics, and they take it more as a martial art type of form. So I wouldn't be surprised with matches like a couple of them, especially here in the beginning, starting out that way. Because I think once the summer hits, and hopefully if they get more people into the country for the Olympics, I think they're gonna just have their champions run like lawnmower and everybody. Well, everybody except one person. And it showed because one person lost the belt the first night and they put it on their big boy, which we'll get to.
And it seemed like this was more about the on fingers rather than the championships. Tamatonga seemed a little bit more off than he usually is. And then Taichi reclaimed the on fingers and kind of went off himself. Scooter, does the on fingers of Iska have magical powers that drive people insane?
I mean, you can probably equate them to the same level of mist. Um,
The Muda Mist.
I mean, different color mists were supposed to have different effects. The traditional green was just supposed to be blinding. If it was red, it was burning. If it was black, it was possession. Um, if it was, yeah, I can't remember if it was blue, it was hypnotism. I can't remember the others though. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing, the jade fingers, or the diamond fingers.
Interesting. Our next,
Just a little,
yeah. Next match, Hiromu Takahashi defeated Sho in 35 minutes and 38 seconds with Time Bomb 2. What I really want to talk about is Sho. This last year has been kind of a coming out party for him, in the sense of there was nobody kind of holding him back, for the lack of a better term. Drew, what do you think? Can Sho go back to a Punky 3K and be that, or has he far surpassed what he was?
I think he is well surpassed what he was. I think we'll probably get to it down the line, but it's how I feel about certain guys that are on the mid card in the WWE or in NXT that their sell by date, they've passed it. And I think Sho has shown he doesn't need to be in a tag team anymore. He doesn't even need to be in a junior. He is a type of a guy over this calendar year that has consistently put on great matches and has shown that he needs to be pushed into that next stratosphere. Because to be honest with you, with New Japan, I love everything that they do, but they are pigeonholing themselves with the same 4 or 5 or 6 guys that are on top all the time. How many times has Tanahashi been on top, and Naito and Okada? And those guys are great, but you have to build the next set of guys that are coming up that fans can be like, okay, I can get behind a Sho. I can get behind a Zack Sabre Jr. I can get behind a Jay White. The believability. That's the main important thing that New Japan does very well. Believability. So Sho should not go back to Roppongi whatsoever. He needs to move even away from being a junior heavyweight and go into that heavyweight picture. And the sky's the limit for that kid.
What say you, Kaliko?
He's gonna be the Shawn Michaels, and Yo's gonna be the Marty Jannetty. Man, I feel bad. I feel bad. But I mean, when you look at the lightweight division, it's really thin. Like it's him and Sho, and then Bushi is his so-so, and El Desperado and Phantasmo. You got a couple of people, but I feel like the time bomb is eventually going to move up because he done ran through everybody in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I think once Naito just figure out what he's going to do, because I feel like he ain't got that many years left. So I feel like Takahashi's going to be the new face of the LIJ crew, because he is, like I told you, you could make an argument he's the most popular dude in the damn company.
Oh yeah.
If not the second. So
yes,
it's there for him to springboard himself into that upper echelon, because he's already kind of a star. Plus, I follow him on YouTube. That nigga he crazy, but the potential's already there. It's just a matter of whether he's gonna if he's gonna leave the division or keep it on the map. So,
Anything you want to add, Scooter?
There was also a 10-man tag between Chaos and Bullet Club, and a tag team match between LIJ and Kota and Hanma as well. And you brought up an interesting point. Those guys that are on top all the time, they were, relegated to the start of the card and the middle of the card, essentially for this night, because with White, Evil, and Okada in the 10-man tag, and Sonata and Naito and Ibushi in the tag match. Yes, understandably, to build for the following night. Still, though, I don't think those matches should be overlooked, but you is correct. The New Japan, and I'm not sure if this is related to the pandemic or not. The fact that New Japan might be afraid of trying to put everything on someone new when the future of the business is not exactly guaranteed anymore. So they
Right.
might want to stay the course with Ibushi, with Naito, with Okada, with White, and whatnot. So they're probably going to push one person, and we'll probably see really only one person get a real push until if the world ever goes back to normal.
I really think that that's something that we're going to see. We're going to get a lot more clarity is when they do the New Japan Cup next month. So that's kind of what is going to be a hard moment and see where we're going for the rest of the year. I think anyway. On night two, uh, we have the Neville Openweight Six-Man Tag Team Championship match. Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Tomohiro Ishii defeated Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jay White in 27 minutes and 1 second. This was maybe the longest six-man Neville Openweight Championship match they've ever done. And Jay White is on the losing end of it again. Kaliko, is this like a no-win situation for Jay White?
Pretty much. I mean, it was a waste of all that time and that buzz on his way out, and all of a sudden, gone. Just like that. I feel bad for him, man. I feel bad for any Gaijin that makes it to the top. Because they know they can only get so far. And that glass is...
It's not going to break.
It ain't breaking. Kenny broke it. Kenny
broke
broke it, but he like put a crack in it. And
Yeah.
that ain't broke it.
Oh, I'm surprised any Gaijin that gets to that level, like a Jay White, which I've said, I was talking to James earlier this week. I said, this is a guy that you can put the rocket on if you are trying to get over in the United States. He's good looking. He can talk. He's in one of the biggest factions known around the world, the Bullet Club. Why wouldn't you pull the trigger? And then you put him in a six-man tag and you job him. I'm not expecting them to not put over their guys, but my problem is the match was great. I enjoyed the match. That's not the issue. The problem I have is that, like I said, it's time you got to move around the deck chairs a little bit in New Japan. You have to move around the deck chairs. You got a lot of guys there, and now with this, I will talk about it, I guess, later on, with this forbidden door open. So there's a possibility for us over here in North America to get to know these guys, and you put a guy like Jay White in a six-man tag match after he cuts an amazing promo after losing at Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, saying he's done, I don't know why I'm here anymore. That tells the story. But maybe if I put my booking cap on, maybe this whole thing with him losing is Jay White's redemption to lead him back to Wrestle Kingdom in 2022 to become God. I don't know. It kind of seems that way, but like you were saying earlier,
That's a good point.
We don't know how the world looks going forward because of COVID-19.
I do kind of agree with that because New Japan loves to do those callbacks.
Yes.
But it's a hell of a... Because kind of like last year when... what the fuck is his name? Like last year when Ibushi fucking lost and he ended up with tag titles and then he finessed that to a championship.
Yeah.
But I always felt like there was going to be an issue between Jay White and Evil because Jay White's trying to get somewhere where evil already's been. And that's where I feel like it's a bigger issue. And I feel like that's where a dam is going to crack. But who knows? We'll see. Unless they just leaving evil as like wandering into no man's land after becoming the second person to hold those belts, which is total bullshit. But that's a whole nother story.
And what about the six-man never openweight championships getting the nod here? I don't think they've ever been second to the last match ever in a New Japan show. Even I think even the guys that hold the championships kind of forget that they hold the never six-man tag team titles. Scooter.
Yoshi does not forget that he holds that belt. Fuck you talk about.
Yoshi loves that thing. Like that's his baby, man. That's his fucking baby. Like he's not letting that go.
And Kaliko, what do we think of Yoshihashi?
Fuck Yoshihashi. I mean, that's the most shine he's got. Like, other than upsetting Kenny Omega, that's his biggest like shine in life.
So, Scooter, do you think that this might be the upswing for the six-man tag team championships? Maybe we'll see a little bit more of them, or do you think they're just going to go back into obscurity?
They're going to go back into obscurity. I mean, a six-person title, whatever it is, quite honestly, it never really, it's there for the rest of the roster to have something to do.
Just put a belt on them.
Yeah, basically.
It's the 24/7 championship of New Japan. Just, per se.
Yeah.
Alright. Our main event, Kota Ibushi defeated Sanada for the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Double Championship in 27 minutes and 51 seconds with Kamagoye. Honestly, the match fell below my expectations. I don't know why. It never felt like Sanada was ever a threat to Kota Ibushi. It seemed like he never had that definitive, I might actually win this match moment. And it doesn't seem like a big thing. Like, oh, they win 27 minutes. Yeah, they win 27 minutes. But it kind of seemed like they didn't go 27 minutes. Or not what should have happened in that 27 minutes. I just might be a little bit overcritical of this, but Kaliko, you might be a little bit more.
Yeah, because I told you they set that boy up to slaughter, Nick. Man, they do Sonata so dirty, man. That's like 3 years in a row, bro. Like, oh, you could win the New Japan Cup. Oh no, Okada, run your ass over. Oh, you could win the G1. Oh no, Ibushi, run your ass over. Oh, you could win this title. Nope. Ibushi winning your ass over again. It's like bridesmaid bride thing. It's like, yo, he could get married. That don't mean he's gonna get married. It's fucking wrapped with that. And you know how much I love Sonata. Sonata to me is like, just, he could be that dude. Yeah, but New Japan is like, fuck that dude.
That's like saying, yeah, everybody could be parents, not everybody should be parents.
Should be parents, yeah.
Man, they putting Sonata for the streets. I just know that much. But I ain't giving up on my boy. He'll get there. He'll crack it. The only
start an adopt Sonata fund.
I might, but the only saving grace is because fucking he's the runner-up in the G1, and usually, like, the runner-up comes back and win the bitch. So that'll at least give me some kind of saving fucking grace.
Yeah.
But God knows who the fuck he's going to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom if he wins, because depending on who the dude is,
he'll probably
fam.
He'll probably actually win an actual bitch instead of win a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, he might win the actual female dog. You got that damn right. You can come get my bitch or my babysitting bitch. There you go.
Or it's a chance to turn that around.
I don't think that's technically yours to give away, Kaliko.
I mean, I can.
Have you seen?
I just have to
do it
deal
all
with
the
the
time.
consequences.
What say you, Drew? This match, Sonata, Kota Ibushi, what's your thoughts on it all overall?
Okay. I was like you, James, down on the match. And another thing with New Japan, please can you stop making these matches like 48 hours long? That's another thing. We don't need 35, 40-minute main events. You don't need it. Sometimes 15 minutes is good. Get them in and get them out. At points, Sonata looked disinterested, like he knew that I ain't winning this motherfucker. I'm never going to be looked at as a top guy in New Japan. So I'm just going through the motions. I'll just take the spots here, take the spots there. I know he's gonna hit this. I know he's gonna hit that. Then we wrap it up and go to the finish, and that's what it looked like. So it was, to me, 27 minutes too long. That's why maybe it didn't feel like it was 27 minutes, but it was 27 minutes too long because Sonata looked disinterested and had that look like, I know I'm not going to win this. And I know I'm going to go into the G1 and put on amazing matches, and people will put me up for match of the year at the G1 and this, that, and the third, but I will never get the brass ring. And I think that's what I've been saying to you guys throughout this chat, Raven, is that New Japan needs to shuffle the deck chairs. Sonata, like my boy was saying, is one of those guys you could put on top. We don't need to see him get to the pinnacle and get run through by Nabushi. Naito runs through him. Then Okada runs through him. Maybe let's look at him and say, maybe we can use this guy as an upper echelon guy going forward. But we all know he lost last year. Maybe he wins the G1, but who does he face at Wrestle Kingdom? With all the crossover stuff that's going on, who knows what Wrestle Kingdom next year is going to even look like?
Good point. And I see that point. And the only reason that I could see your point of him being disinterested. Think about it. Like, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, where he's been. It'd be one thing if it was like his first shot or taste of the good life, but he's been there like 3 years in a row. So it gets him to the point where he like, I know I can do it.
Like
Y'all
we said,
motherfuckers ain't
always
pulling
the
the trigger.
bridesmaid, never the bride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he's that single female where all her friends getting married and she just looking like
27
what
dresses.
the fuck? Hell yeah, shit, man. Like, I feel bad for him. Might start a GoFundMe.
The next thing after the match, Naito came out and challenged Kota Ibushi for only the Intercontinental Championship. To me, that felt like a very Naito thing to do. I'm not gonna challenge for the IWGP because I lost, but I can challenge for the Intercontinental because I don't want you to unify the two belts. Scooter, what are your thoughts on Naito challenging for one of the double championships and being the only person to actually do it?
I honestly think this is probably what should have been done from the beginning.
It's what he wanted to do for sure.
I mean, they shouldn't have been a double. They shouldn't have been double title matches. They should have been two separate title matches.
Right.
I mean, why do it to begin with if you're just going to put both titles on the line at and I think it's smart, quite honestly. Finally, like, maybe this can lead to the belt coming off Bushi, and we can finally get some semblance of a secondary main event.
Right. Because we lost the United States Championship. John Moxley.
Let's not even go with John. Fuck John.
Yeah,
At this
no,
point, he's held
come-
the U.S. title is basically on a milk carton. But
Yeah, it's missing. It's missing.
Like,
It needs an AP.
have you seen me?
Come on, man.
And the only reason I felt like what they should have did was when Naito won it the first fucking time, they should have did what NXT did to Keith Lee and was like, you can't have both of them bitches. Pick
Exactly.
one or the other. And then that way you're not stuck in a situation where Naito, oh, if I could beat you for the IC title, I damn sure could beat you for the heavyweight. So why the fuck would I? You know what I mean? So it set that awkward moment up. But they should have did that. But you can go back to your little John Moxley.
No, but
Shit.
what I was alluding to was Scooter was saying a secondary title, and I was saying that was the United States Championship, but it went missing because John Moxley was there.
No. The U.S. title was supposed to be IWGP's version of you're the heavyweight champ, you're the man in the U.S. That's basically what it was for.
Yeah,
it was to ease Kenny Omega's
ego.
frustrations for the simple fact that he was basically him and the Bullet Club in a sense were kind of getting a global reach. And they're like, oh yeah, let's have this U.S. tournament in Long Beach and let's ease it over. And it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Well, we're coming up on his match against Kenta, and it's next week, I believe. This Friday. So who wins? John Moxley or Kenta? Kaliko.
At this point, I want Canada to win just so they could have a fucking story. Because I felt like Juice should have had it last year, but it's weird to me how New Japan treats that belt. Because if it was anybody else, like Roppongi 3K had to give up their belts because one person got injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they that's the only thing I hate about New Japan. They don't enforce their own rules. Like it's like, especially when it comes to the U.S. title.
Right.
And I guess they're just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
They did strip Moxley once of the belt.
Yeah, which leads you to believe if even in this case it should have been done again.
Yeah.
Like,
but they didn't
Moxley,
do it.
who's to say Moxley couldn't get a shot when everything comes over? Keep in mind too, Moxley was in that awkward situation up until now where he really couldn't do anything with New Japan because of his AEW contract, but now since they're treating it like the Marvel Comics universe, so I mean, now all bets are off. But that wasn't the script a year ago.
No.
Drew, who wins? Kenta or Moxley?
Nobody. Nobody. It ends in a draw, and then the title is vacant. And it could retire itself because the title didn't do a damn thing to elevate anybody since it's been in existence. Some guy's been walking around with it, wasn't able to show it on TV until Kenta showed up on AEW. So I don't even care who wins. It doesn't even matter who wins. It's, to me, it ends in a draw. You vacate the title, and the guys in Japan can fight over it. Or you just award the belt to Kenta because Kenta has been defending that damn briefcase as the championship. That's what's been going on. Kenta's been defending a briefcase to say, I have a shot at this belt and I can't get to the guy. A better story could have been that John Moxley is using the pandemic to dodge Kenta. That's what should have happened. And then Kenta should have been the guy that took out John Moxley before his title match at AEW. And Kenta could have said, you are taking New Japan stuff too lightly. You're all about AEW. It's just so many different things you could have done. It just now, I don't even care. Like, oh, the match is coming. It's so important. It's bullshit now. The steam is off of it. Nobody cares anymore. If Kenta wins the belt, is he gonna be able to come back to Japan and defend it? Who knows, right? We're in a pandemic still, so we don't know the rules. We know he's in Tampa, so he can go from Tampa to Jacksonville. That's not a hard drive. That's like going from Mississauga to Brampton. But it just I don't care. Like, that's how I feel about it. I don't care about Jon Moxley. I think he's a garbage wrestler. That's why they throw him in these crazy CZW style matches. It's
Whoa.
like
Whoa.
I don't like the guy. I didn't like him as Dean Ambrose. I didn't think he was over as Dean Ambrose. I definitely don't like him now. When he first came to AEW, okay, yeah, cool. But now it's like, yeah, you just do the same shit over and over again. And I'm just tired of it. So Kenta can win the belt and do something with it in New Japan. Great. Nobody wins the belt. Great. Doesn't really matter to me.
It does
Damn.
says a lot when the briefcase was more popular than the damn
The
thing.
briefcase than the damn belt.
Okay,
But you know
so
what killed it for me? I felt like Juice Robinson had a better
Yes.
because what I thought was going to happen before the pandemic was Ambrose was going to use his platform to make Juice. You know how like Cody did with Juice?
Yes.
I thought it was going to be the inverse of that, like the same
Yes.
way or the same thing. Just get Juice to be more popular because at the end of the day, he's probably like the biggest American face they got.
Yes.
So I thought that was going to be the case, but then when they threw Juice down the back burner, I was like,
Scooter, Kenta, or Moxley, who wins?
Oh God. Kenta, so can take the belt back and you can be done with this discussion of of longest title reign ever. And by the way, there should be an asterisk in record books if they ever count this reign.
I think you're right about that. And we will see what happens then. Until then, we will conclude our coverage of New Japan, New Beginning tour and Hiroshima. Next up, we are wrestling with WWE NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. It was last Sunday, and your first match out was Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez defeated Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Decent match. It kind of seemed like the Gauls were unfortunately trying way too hard to have a really good match. What say you, Scooter?
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, an average match. I mean, I don't know why they're so dead set on really pushing Raquel and doing this HBK Diesel dynamic. You know, when Dakota herself is not poised to really be a breakout star. And that's what scares me is that when they pull the plug on Raquel and try to push her as a face, then they're gonna put the women's title around her. And I mean, it's just, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Like, really, in terms of what this means.
Well, I mean, Dakota Kai does. It is a first and foremost. Dakota Kai got her first ever win Like first time she's ever won anything in NXT ever. And she gets to wrestle Shayna Baszler again, which is retelling that story that they've had in the past, which is a different, Dakota Kai, which we saw on Wednesday.
True, but since then, how many elbows has Shayna Baszler stepped on since then?
True.
So the women's tag title match comes and goes on March 3rd, and that's it. And then this gets fallen to the wayside. This shouldn't have been a tag team tournament to begin with. This should have been a singles tournament.
Anything you want to add, Kaliko?
I get everybody's point. The only reason it was odd to me because it felt like they were working Dakota and Raquel as faces.
Yes, that's right.
That's what made it odd. What
Yeah.
made it odd was the way Dakota was the Ricky Morton type shit role, but I mean that's what threw it off.
Ricky Morton you'll ever see in your life.
You damn right. But I always kind of figured that was going to go that way because they can retell that Dakota story and I always said that when Dakota was there. I was like, yeah, she gonna be the one to be like, all right, bitch, this a new person. This a new bitch in this town. But I get everybody's point, but I just felt like if they had invited multiple tag teams into this tournament that were actual tag teams, it would have made more sense, instead of mixing singles people together. Because, I don't know, the Iconics would have been a great tag team for this fucking tournament. Just throwing it out there, but
I mean, considering you had Lucha House Party, a main roster tag team in the men's side.
Exactly.
True.
And this is the point. That's the point I'm making. Like they made the tournament, which was fine. It's just that they didn't mesh the teams well. But the right team won because that's the only team. so I mean, congratulations. I mean, I love Dakota, but Jesus.
The whole women's tournament was like as if they were preparing for the men's and like, at the last minute we should totally do a women's one.
I think the tournament was too early. The women's tournament shouldn't have happened the same time as the men. You could have built this tournament up for the winners to face the tag champions at Mania.
Or at Survivor Series.
Or somewhere down the line where it means more. You just threw it together like you guys were saying. Like, let's take a couple singles wrestlers, make them a tag team. We don't know whose faces. We don't know who's heels. The right team won, but I think they're setting this up for Raquel to face I can't stand this girl gone to bed, Miss I Hole, Nia Jax. I think that's where they're leading towards. They want to build Nia Jax, powerful heel bitch, and have this big babyface, bigger girl to face, go one-on-one. That's what I see. I don't think they care about Raquel too much. Or not? Is it Raquel?
Dakota.
No,
Dakota.
I don't think. Yeah, they don't care too much about Dakota Kai. I think Dakota Kai is right where she needs to be down in NXT, doing her little thing down there. I think they are building Raquel up to move her to the main roster to be that babyface to face Nia Jax, which honest to God
was supposed to be.
Yes, that's what I think that is. I think Rhea Ripley lost her shine after the whole craziness with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people got pushed to the wayside just because of the pandemic, but I think that's what they're doing. I think down the line, that's what they're leading towards.
The thing is that as of right now, Rhea Ripley is penciled in to be Asuka's opponent at WrestleMania. But here's some food for thought. Why not call it the Mae Young Tag Team Classic
True.
for the
What do
women?
you have a Mae Young Classic? The singles women tournament.
So I mean,
But they had that that was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
yeah, but if having it be Dusty Rhodes for the men and then the Mae Young for the women,
Yes.
you can connect all that history,
Yeah.
and you're also not confusing your viewers, because if you just say Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic,
You think it's the men. You're not going to think it's the women. You're
Right.
not.
Next,
Yeah, that should have been a better idea. Yeah.
next match, Johnny Gargano successfully defended the NXT North American Championship against Kushida. A little disappointed this ended so cleanly. Usually, usually NXT takeover matches do. But if there was gonna be any match where, there was going to be shenanigans, I would have thought it would have been this match. Kind of seems like they put Kushida down, in my view. What say you, Stu?
I told you this would happen. If Kushida ended up losing, he's gonna end up falling by the wayside. Another wasted Japanese talent.
Mm-hmm.
There were shenanigans; they just didn't happen during the match.
Right.
They're setting up Dexter Loomis to be the guy that beats Gargano, and I don't have a problem with that. I love Loomis, but honestly, you had almost a a guaranteed 5-star match if you did Balor and Kushida for the NXT title. Kushida should have been at that point,
Yeah.
and I mean, Balor and Dunn, something that could have happened next month, and we still want to see it.
Right.
Because it's something we always wanted to see. It's a great effort, but in the end, what is the effort for? I mean, because now Kushida is relegated to feuding with August Gray.
Yeah. What about you, Kaliko? Your thoughts on the match?
I called this match. I told you, Gargano. Mr. Takeover, baby. Don't let I told you he was on a winning streak, bro. You need to pay attention.
Wait.
It's when he was a face. Because when he was a face, he was the guy that was good enough, but always came up short. Now it's the inverse, where he's not good enough. He's good enough, but he just wants to cheat. But this time he got it clean, and that makes sense because it's like what Scooter was saying. I feel like Loomis is going to be the guy next because he's basically kidnapping bitches in the back. But
chloroform.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Chloroform,
you know what killed me? That he didn't even notice that dude until he turned around. I'm like, you didn't hear the dude's voice for 5 minutes? But Gargano is the gatekeeper of NXT, man. When it comes to solid matches, he just is good with anybody.
Yes.
And he's a good enough heel to where you felt like Kushida could win.
Yes.
It's just that he came up short.
He did one little subtle thing that I liked that he did was he looked into the corner and he's when he came in the ring and he's in the corner and he says, Johnny Takeover, Johnny Takeover, Johnny Takeover, Johnny Takeover.
Taps in.
And
tapped in.
I'm like, there it is. There it is. That little subtle thing. As a fan, you're like, I used to like this guy. And I know he can put on amazing performances when he gets on the Takeover spotlight. But that little subtle thing by looking in the camera and screaming Johnny Takeover, Johnny Takeover, I'm like, he's going to another gear. It to me, it doesn't kill Kushida. It doesn't. It might relegate him for a time period, but you can always build Kushida up.
Exactly.
Right? You can always rebuild Kushida to go for an NXT title. And it was the same thing. Another thing I was saying before with New Japan, you got to shuffle the deck chairs. At first when Johnny and Tommaso and all those guys were there and they were doing all that cinematic stuff, I'm like, these guys need to go to the main roster. They need to go to the main roster. I'm kind of tired of them being down in NXT. But then with Johnny Gargano and his group, okay, no problem. He can stay there forever. Tommaso Ciampa going with Timothy Thatcher and tagging with him, they can stay there forever. It makes sense. So I don't have a problem with Kushida jobbing to him. He looked believable. The match was good, all that stuff, but you can always rebuild Kushida. He's not at the level that Hideo Itami, aka Kenta, was before Kenta left, where there was nothing more you could get out of that character when they dropped him. There was nothing more. So there is always something you can always. I think Kenta. I think Kushida has maybe one more kick at the can to rebuild him, and if that doesn't work, then maybe you have to cut your losses and move on.
I got $10 that says Johnny Gargano either starts calling himself the Overtaker or the Taker Under.
And our next.
He's the way.
The way.
But you know what? As far as like Kushida, do you think we got spoiled because of how Nakamura got to NXT?
Yes.
Because Nakamura got to NXT, his first match was like an instant classic. So it was basically boom to the moon. And Kushida never got that classic match. So we're just trying to. I feel like that's what part of it is. I feel like it's the spoilage of how Nakamura got there. Because I could go back and watch Nakamura Zayn, but you can't think of a memorable Kushida match in NXT.
That's fun.
So that's why there's time to rebuild him. There is always time to rebuild him and start from scratch again.
That brings us to our next match, Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. MSK, Nash Carter, and Wes Lee defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans, Zach Gibson, and James Strait. I think I was the only one that picked MSK to actually win this match.
Oh, look at you. But you got the last match wrong. I'm bringing you down a peg.
I said I wanted Pete Dunne to win. I didn't say he would win. But anyway, it was a pretty good match. Maybe a little bit too long for this tag team match, but, they just made new stars, didn't they, Scooter?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised. They're putting a lot behind MSK, but the thing is that they're tiny. They're still tiny, and if they stay a tag team, they'll probably be good. But even if they get up to the main roster as a team, I think this is a case where the NXT hype will not equate to main roster hype when it happens. This is, I mean, it's a huge step for showing confidence in MSK. And we saw their acting chops during on Wednesday during NXT.
Yes.
When they're eating popcorn with Beth Phoenix. It's there's so much potential here, but I'm not optimistic.
All right, fair enough. Drew, your thoughts?
To me, match great. I like the grizzled young veterans. I think they were where they needed to be at all aspects of that match to make MSK look great. The smallish comment, but I don't think they should be going to the main roster anytime soon. I don't think they're ready to be in the main roster, and I don't think they protect tag teams on the main roster. And I really think Vince has a care for them when they're up there, anyways. So all these tag teams that we have down in NXT and NXT UK and whatsoever, keep them where they are. MSK looks great. Their acting chops are there. The promos are there. They're letting them be themselves, and I don't see a problem with them just sticking in NXT for a long period of time. Grizzled Young Veterans, to me, I love that team. That team has that old school vibe and is booked properly. So those are two teams. They shouldn't leave NXT anytime soon. They shouldn't.
Kalika, you want to finish us off?
Man, that match was probably, to me, the match of the night.
It was.
And the only reason I say it because you saw the desperation out of the grizzled young veterans. Like it's very rare you see because they were like, they're not a high flying team and they out there doing 450 splashes. Like, bitch, we need to do something. Like, that's when I kind of felt MSK was going to win, because once they got out of their game plan, that's when once you're not yourself and win it the way that you're used to, it's unknown territory. So that's what made MSK feel a little better, because now it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this team. And this team just was too much for them. And it's a great step for them. They get the test of a lifetime with Oni Lorcan. But Grizzled Young Veterans, I think they'll be a good spot in NXT UK. But they'll be a staple for sure. To me, they're like the Revival without the bitching.
Yeah.
I
was going to say that. I was going to say that.
Bitches a lot.
You say what?
Seth Gibson does bitch a lot.
No, the real life bitching.
Oh, okay. Okay. Shoot bitching.
Not the storyline one.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so I mean, congrats to MSK. I thought it was like, must see kids, the Muppet Babies. They got their time in the sun, and we'll see where it goes from here. Because if they win the tag titles, bruh, that's all I need to say, bruh.
NXT Women's Championship match. Io Shirai defended successfully against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. Good match, but it kind of just seemed like this was a transitional match to get to the next takeover. What say you, Scooter?
Yep. I mean, I had Io from the beginning. They're looking. They're gonna do something with Io and Xia Li, and maybe even the 2,000-year-old Dragon Princess or whatever, Tian Shan. Very Dungeon of Doom-esque. But I mean, yeah, this was. I mean, if you honestly thought Mercedes was gonna win, you mark. But yeah,
Oh, F
Tony,
you.
Tony winning, uh, you know, wouldn't have been. It would have been surprising, but I could understand that.
Story aspect.
But yeah, Mercedes is, and I hate to say this, her time for a real honest to goodness WWE run, that time was before she even signed. And
She's in the twilight of her career.
exactly. And if Mercedes ends up with a title run in the future, it won't be long, and hopefully it'll be out of respect and and
Fear in your
that's
case.
fear in my case, because you never want to have to go until Mercedes Martinez to wrap up a match. Oh boy. God, oh God, PTSD. Please. Don't hit me, Mercedes! They were just telling me to wrap it up. So, but yeah, I mean, EO is where she should be. Tony Storm, I think they're unsure of where she fits in exactly, because she's a natural face, not exactly a great heel yet, but I think that can be achieved.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, the sun has not set on Tony Storm.
Oh, but I thought. Drew, you want to add anything before we get to the last match?
All right, quickly. I think you're leaning towards Io and Tony at the next takeover.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're playing up the whole Tony beat Io in the Make Young Classic to win it. Mercedes Martinez should just transition and be that person that puts over younger talent down in NXT or even on the main roster. I don't think she has a title run or a WWE run that's going to be like lucrative at this point in her career.
Shout out to Tony's Cakes, because she just got some of the best cakes in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Although she should have won. She should have won. But I agree with Scooter in his sense. Like, yeah, she's a better face than heel. I don't know why they brought her back like rubbish, because she's not really that mic strong yet. So we'll see where they put her in. We'll see where she get in, where she fit in.
And that brings us to our NXT Championship match. Finn Balor defeated Pete Dunne. It's what we want. It's what the people wanted, correct, Kalika?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the Finn people were hoping to see on the main roster. Hey, it's better to have him at NXT or in WWE than to not have him at all. Because, like, he's been on point ever since, like, the Fiend ran through his ass. It felt like, you know what I mean? It's like the Fiend beat his ass. And he was like, fuck this shit. So, like, just the whole character development, just him, he's on a roll right now. I mean, you could argue in the WWE, the top three, as far as, like, men, Reigns, Orton, Balor, and no order, and you can make that argument. I mean, as far as, like, match quality, character quality, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, he's found his stride. And I felt like he always felt more comfortable in NXT because he got the free reign to do, you know, what seems natural to him. And now no one can say WWE's holding him back because he's fucking on a roll.
Yes, he is.
Drew, you want to add to that?
100% totally agree with my boy over here. I would throw Drew McIntyre during this pandemic era of wrestling. He's been one of those top guys as well. Didn't have a problem with the match. I just think going down to NXT after he got his ass whooped in Toronto by the Fiend was the best thing that ever happened to his career. It rejuvenated him. It made him into what we all loved him and wanted to see him do in WWE when he first came over from New Japan. So no problem with him whatsoever. I just hope that he doesn't leave NXT anytime soon. He should be there. That should be his brand. He should be one of the staples on the NXT brand going forward.
And Scooter, you want to top us off?
I mean, Balor won. I think it was odd that they really started the breakup of the Undisputed Era in a match that didn't involve them.
That is kind of odd, but
It's not odd if you look at the story. The story was because the story is Adam always been the guy,
and then
and now Kyle is starting to be the guy,
and Adam doesn't like it.
Exactly, because when you see like even when Velveteen like came in, it was like we always knew that Kyle was the leader and Adam is just the second fickle. So the trail was always there.
Yeah.
I just didn't know when they were gonna pull the trigger.
And it also with these two last title matches that Kyle has had, you can see the little hints of Adam not liking that. How come this guy's getting the shot? How come he's getting the shot? I still have a title shot I haven't cashed in yet. Why haven't I got my shot? You can see the hints of jealousy there. I think it was a little too early for pulling that trigger, but no problem with them pulling the trigger. The era had to end.
Just wondering who gets the kids of Strong and
and Fish.
Who gets Strong and Fish in a divorce?
Well, Fish goes to O'Reilly for sure. They were re-dragon. The first time Adam Cole turned on him. Like, this isn't that's something new. I mean, Adam Cole has turned on Kyle O'Reilly a couple of times at this point.
Times, yes.
And obviously Strong goes to Cole. Because.
I think Strong leaves promotion altogether and he goes to the main roster. I think Cole is done in NXT.
Definitely. So we will conclude our coverage of NXT Vengeance Day. And we are wrestling with WWE Elimination Chamber preview. It's tomorrow, and if you are smart, by some miracle of God, how do we listen to Elimination Chamber, Scooter?
You, of course.
Wait, not a miracle of God. You should be doing it off rip.
Well, I am God, so. But, of course, you listen to it only on the remix tomorrow. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow. That's right. 7 p.m. Eastern. Me and James provided the only live alternate commentary, live streaming alternate commentary podcast on the web today. Over 5 years strong. Nobody to this day has even come close to providing the type of alternate commentary we do. You don't want to hear it from a script. You want to hear it from us. So tune in the UNB Network on Mixler, the remix, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Elimination Chamber remix.
And maybe Kaliko will even join us if he could get away from his son and wife.
Hey
And
man, last week was wifey time, so you knew that was it.
Valentine.
She
Yeah.
took every fucking measure.
Come on, man.
And
I'm not
luckily,
complaining. I'm not
You got
complaining.
to work, man.
I'm not
You're
complaining,
not
but
complaining because she listens to the show, right?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that answer. I'm just gonna let that ride into the sunset right
Yeah.
there.
Kaliko, remember when we married those girls in Vegas 3 weeks ago?
Whoa.
Shit, she got me on tracker.
Shoot,
She know
right
damn
there.
where I'm at. Hell, she got cameras in the house. The moment I leave, shit, where the fuck you going? Like, wait, what?
Let's get into it. United States Championship match. Bobby Lashley defends against Matt Riddle. Well, just Riddle at this point. And Keith Lee. Who wins, Scooter?
Now, Keith Lee is still up in the air for this.
Yes, he is.
But it's Lashley.
Drew?
I'm going to go Matt Riddle.
Ooh. Time to pull the trigger?
Yeah, I think so. Bobby Lashley needs to move up to that heavyweight title picture.
And what say you, Kaliko?
The only reason I would say Riddle is because the way the Hurt Business has been fucking arguing, and Lashley looks like he's tired of that shit. Like, he looked like he ready to drop the dead weight, because he just looks like, yo, I got shit to do,
Yep.
and you motherfuckers bitching
Hold
is
it
in my way.
I'll hold you back.
So I feel like it would be him, and I'm thinking this might be a reason Shelton might get kicked out. But I think this starts the catalyst of that. Like, because it's already been there, but if they lose the U.S. title, that cements it.
I think, if Keith Lee's not available even for the match, like Scooter said, I think they might go Riddle. Just because, what Drew said. Big Bobby Lashley needs to go on to more things. WWE Championship match. Elimination Chamber. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus AJ Styles versus Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy versus Kofi Kingston. Start us off, Scooter.
Okay, now I got some big news here.
Yes, you
Now, remember The Miz gave up his spot. Now, it looks as though The Miz is going to attempt to do what Edge did when he cashed it in back in 2006.
Yep.
And here's the thing. It looks like he's going to be successful.
do.
And the thing is that if the Miz is WWE champion, well, you're not putting him up against
It's
Drew
not
at
going to be.
it's not going to be Drew at WrestleMania. But it looks like, and this is just hearsay at this point, but if the Miz does walk out of Elimination Chamber with the title, he's going to defend at WrestleMania against John Cena.
Oh, God. I hope
And-
that's not right. I hope that's just rumor and anyone know.
keep in mind 10-year anniversary of their
Yeah.
WrestleMania main event, but it would result in Cena winning the
The
17th
team then
title,
breaking the record.
and the next night Cena would retire.
Wow. That is a very bold rumor.
Now, it's an idea from a source. It's not guaranteed. I'm hearing that Sheamus and Drew may have a cinematic barroom brawl
For Mania?
for Mania. Yes,
Hmm.
but provided for as actual winner, I will say, yeah, Drew to retain.
And Miz cash in afterwards.
I'm not gonna put that as an official prediction.
Alright, fair enough.
I'm gonna say that's just something I've heard as a possible idea being thrown around.
Drew?
I'm gonna go with Drew retaining, but I'm interested in that whole Miz cashing in the Money in the Bank. I'm really interested in it because if Cena, which he has said there is no earthly way for him to show up at WrestleMania this year because he's in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, taping some show.
Which means he's actually going to be there for sure, definitely.
Vince will send the plane, the bus, have COVID tests and vaccines ready to go for John Cena to perform at WrestleMania. But for Sunday night, I'm saying that Drew retains the title. It's all up in the air. Once I saw Miz take himself out of it, I'm like, intrigued, and makes sense because he doesn't need to be in that match. But Drew retains.
So Drew for Drew.
Yeah, Drew for Drew.
And Kaliko.
This is like that Miz thing threw me off. But let's keep in mind they still got Fastlane for better or for freaking worse.
Okay,
So here's my thing. If Drew wins, they're sticking with the Sheamus storyline because that is the most intriguing storyline for the championship. If Miz cashes in and wins, you would think he would have a lengthy reign, but I also could see them doing that just to keep the possibility that winning the briefcase means something. And him losing it at Fastlane or losing it at Mania. John Cena, man, I need him to just take one for the bullet and take Goldberg. Just take Goldberg for all of our sakes. I told you he would get the Medal of Honor if he wrestles Goldberg. But I'm going to go Drew just because that's where the story is with him and Sheamus. But the hard part of picking Drew is it's very rare you see a guy go Mania to Mania with the belt.
It's true. That is true.
That's the only, like, he'll win the match, but I don't expect him to be walking into WrestleMania as the champion.
No.
That's true, but they are, they are building him like a Hulk Hogan in a sense. And, Becky Lynch did it last year as well. She went Mania to Mania. Before she got
Becky
injured.
Lynch was like a fucking white hot meteor in a sea of stars.
Yeah, she was so hot last year.
Drew is nowhere near the popularity of Becky.
No.
So, and you could, I mean, mainly because she's a female and she's good looking on the eyes, and yes, I'm not doubting her wrestling ability, but it was just the reason Becky was working was because the people were already with her through the bullshit.
Yes.
So when she finally got there, she was like the female Daniel Bryan. That's
Yep.
basically
Yes.
how I could
Yeah.
put it. She's female Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Drew is nowhere near Daniel Bryan.
No.
So that's why I don't see it happening. So he'll win the match, but between there and Mania, he's not keeping the belt.
That brings us to obviously everybody. It kind of seems unanimously Drew McIntyre for the win, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Universal Championship #1 contendership Elimination Chamber match. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and King Corbin. And later on, I believe right after the match, they wrestled Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a two-part question. Who wins the Elimination Chamber, and then who wins Roman Reigns versus that person? Scooter.
Now, most would say probably Daniel Bryan, but it doesn't serve Daniel Bryan to uh, win the chamber only to get immediately trounced by Roman. So, given what I've seen on SmackDown, it looks like Cesaro
Hmm.
and Roman and Cesaro happen only for Seth to cause Cesaro to lose because it looks like they're building Cesaro and Seth uh, for Mania if they aren't doing Daniel Bryan and Seth. I mean, you could probably do Cesaro or Daniel Bryan in that point and then have Seth cause the loss. Uh, but I'm going to pick Cesaro to win the Chamber and Roman to retain.
Drew.
I'm gonna say Cesaro because, like, Scooter was saying, how they were built, how things are looking on SmackDown with him, and here's just a little spoiler on my end. I think Cesaro is going to take the title from Roman Reigns, but not at this event. I think that's probably later down in the year. I think it is time to pull the trigger on Cesaro as a main event guy, and I think he's going to take the belt from Roman probably at a SummerSlam or their outs in the summer. But I think he wins the chamber and he faces Roman, and Roman kicks the holy hell out of him and goes on and faces my fellow Canadian Adam Copeland at WrestleMania.
And Kaliko.
I know this sounds dumb, but hear me out. Hear me out. What if, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be Cesaro because I feel like Cesaro is going to be the guy, and Seth causes the match, and that leads Roman and Edge to go at it at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
But playing devil's advocate, I kind of want Jay to win. Just because of the simple fact, yes, because keep in mind, what has been the story the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always, this is why I hated Jay winning or turning so early, because they put him in these situations where that story would be way more intriguing for him to get his ass beat into submission, into falling in line. But that didn't happen, so therefore Cesaro's gonna win. It's gonna go go and Roman's gonna go over. But think of that, right? Think of
Yeah.
think of Roman been telling Jay what to do this whole time, and Jay has been resisting. And then when he got this shot, he has to fall in line. Like maybe a Jimmy comes out, makes him get in line. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's where I felt like storyline wise, that would have been like off the hook. Because they spent that time pushing Jay for a title shot anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a great callback because the whole point of him being with them is not just to be in the sidekick, but to be eventually a guy. So
hear me out though.
up.
Do you think that because of the pandemic, that's why we got the Jay falling in line so soon? Because if there was crowds and Jay keeps not falling in line, keeps not falling in line, he gets the shot here at Elimination Chamber, he wins it, and then his brother comes and beats him to fall in line. You think that's the reason why we got that a little too soon?
That's a possibility.
It is, however, the sympathy was already there after he choked his brother out and he had to like submit because his brother was getting choked out.
That's true.
That sympathy alone would have been a trigger for everybody to be like, okay, I get why you wouldn't fall in line for 6 months because this dude just choked your brother out and caught. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
And to me, that would have been a catalyst for Jay to change on and get in line because he sees it like, well, fuck, I had a shot. My brother costed me. So now I need to get in line to get to that level.
That's true. Okay.
Let me ask this question.
But that's just me. Does
this Elimination Chamber...
Hire me, WWE. Hire me.
Hey, you need to put in your application to Peacock.
I told you I'm going to show him my proposal video, and that's it. Let's hope that works out.
No, you're going to use what Drew Gulak uses. And what's that, Kaliko?
My PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
But I gotta have the video in the PowerPoint. That's what I'm saying. Man.
There you go.
That might be all 10 PowerPoints.
Okay, so my question is to all you guys: does this Elimination Chamber pay preview have any effect on what happens at WrestleMania, or are we looking at just Fastlane to have that portrait be completely clear? Scooter?
I think it's really wait and see at this point.
Drew?
I think you'll get the picture on the SmackDown side coming out of Elimination Chamber. I think you're heading towards that Roman and Edge at Mania. That's going to be the main event. And I think Sunday night wraps it up and tells you that's where we're headed on that side. But I think we'll wait till Fastlane to see what happens on the Raw side and how the rest of the card, because it's 2 days, right? WrestleMania is 2 days. So the rest of the cards, how are they going to be played out over the next few weeks going into Fastlane? So,
Kalika?
I wouldn't say like a seismic shift, but the picture for overall will be clear. Because to me, the Edge Championship Index is Raw 1%, NXT 1%, SmackDown 98%, because that's where it everything is just arrowing that way. Even because the whole Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole thing kind of throws it to where there could be a triple threat match at Mania.
Yeah.
And that Edge Roman thing has yet to be settled. So as far as like acknowledging him.
Yeah.
The Raw side, it's gonna be dependent on how this briefcase is gonna get used. Because everyone, for the most part, was thinking Sheamus Drew, without a shadow of a doubt.
Mhm.
But with and it still could do that in Miz Cash In. I mean, but we just don't know how that championship picture looks. Everything else we kind of could get a clue on, but just the top part, it's need to bake a little bit longer.
Right. And that will conclude our coverage of WWE Elimination Chamber. Um, it's tomorrow, and you should listen to it on the remix with Scooter Dust on the UNB network. Until then, a little later today, listen to our Sean Phoenix interview. It's definitely one to listen. And on Wednesday, listen to part 2 of that interview. And we promise that's the last of Sean Phoenix, your hero, for the rest of February.
Probably the realest interview ever.
Oh, without a doubt.
Just great.
Until then, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. And you can always follow Wrestling with Entertainment, everything we have going on, our upcoming interviews, winter viewer interviews, what we have going on, all on our Wrestling with Entertainment Twitter page, which is at Wrestling with E. You can follow us individually. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can see me possibly not trying to get a DUI off this wine, and I am Kaliko.
He's not on Twitter, but you can find Drew on Instagram.
That is MRSPECYAL, which is Mr. _special.
I thought we were going into like Aretha Franklin right there. RESPECT.
Find out what it means to me.
And where can they find Scooter Dust?
You can always find me in the back seat of your car with a shovel. But if you're looking for me on social media, of course, as always, at Scooter Dust and holding it down for the UNB network at UNBS Wrestling.
For our special guest Drew, Kaliko Yachts, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
My hole.